In celebration of being a fat freaking chud loser and losing my job, I decided that I'm gonna make a video about Chipotle because that's where I used to work. In around October of 2025, I managed to start working at a Chipotle because my sister worked there, and she was like, "Hey, can we hire my brother?" And their boss was like, "Yeah, sure, whatever." And when they hired me, everything was awesome. I would wake up at like 6 in the morning, go in at 7, go home at 4, and be perfectly fine. For the first few weeks, maybe like a month or two, my legs would ache so bad, but then I just got used to it. The position I worked personally was the clerk, the guy who was behind the counter, counting your money and all that. So I would do the transactions, right? I hated it. I used to have like really bad anxiety, so I would sit there biting my nails, terrified of coming in and dealing with the fucking Neanderthals that are Chipotle customers. Oh my god. I remember one time there was this woman. She was like one of those suburban ladies. I'm gonna put a picture up. It's like something like this. Her and like a group of 4 other women. All right, one of them being a kid. Decided to come in to Chipotle and eat at Chipotle. The other 3, not a problem. This woman was having the hardest time understanding, and she was like the age of like my mom, right? She's like 40 something, like late 30s, maybe early 40s. She seemed to struggle with the idea of a card reader. And if you don't know what these card readers look like, they have these big fucking red boxes on the side that say insert here and tap here, and they point this big white arrow at the screen or the card insert part. And there's like 5 different ways you could do it. You could slide your card across, you could insert your card, you can tap your card. I try and help her and I say, "Ma'am, the chip in your card needs to be facing towards you, so you gotta turn it around." And she stares at me for a minute. She flips it upside down. That is not what I said to fucking do. So I tell her, I ask her, "Hey, do you want me to do it?" And she stares at me. She goes, "Yeah, sure." And she gives it to me. I'm missing some really bad context here. So when I was asking her, so my line is, "Would you like any chips or drinks?" And I offer her some chips and I move out the way of the cooler that's standing behind me. And so she can look at some drinks and look at the size of the cups and stuff. And she looks at me and goes, "Drink." And she turns around and like just starts talking to her family. Her family. These suburban white women are so confusing sometimes, because that's the type of people who eat at Chipotle, is suburban people and people who can barely speak English. My sister is an outgoing, kind woman, right? So when she left, she got transferred to a store up the road. So there was like 3 locations in the same like little block of an area, and she got sent to number 2. I worked at number 3. Number 1 my brother worked at, but number 2, she got sent from number 3 to number 2 as a general manager. Awesome. But that entailed some guy that used to be their general manager. He got demoted, and we're gonna call him Helen because he deserves that name. Helen was just kind of mean to me because he knew that I was, the brother of the girl that, quite frankly, took his job. And he did not like that. He was kind of cold to me. That's fine, whatever. You're just here to do your job. Then he'd like joke around with all the other people, and he would purposefully like just do stuff to try and get under me. Like he would randomly walk past and say, "AJ, stop doing nothing." And the worst part is, I would get done checking out a customer, and I would stand there for like a second going through the checklist that I have in my head. It was, I'm not exaggerating. Maximum 10 to 15 seconds in a non-busy Chipotle. It's not gonna kill us, Helen. I can stand there for a second. I'm not on my phone. And he would walk past and say, AJ, stop doing nothing. Do something. Go do something. I've told you multiple times to stop standing here. And we're not gonna die because I stood there for 15 seconds. Not even 15 seconds. Like 5 seconds. Right? You would tell me to do the most unbearable jobs. Oh my god. Helen, fuck you. You know who you are. 'Cause you've got a stupid fucking name. And this fits you. He would sit in the office for like an hour every shift, and he would play on his phone or text his girlfriend. That's mainly what he would do. He would call his girlfriend mid shift and start bagging chips. I call him Helen Chip Fryer. Not Chip Fryer, Chip Bagger. Helen Chip Bagger. Chip Bagger, Helen, would fold and bag about like 100 bags of chips, which is crazy, in about like an hour. And then he would go sit on his phone. And he wouldn't do anything. He's a shift leader, shift manager. So he should be, doing stuff like the grill or something else. But I told him once that frying chips makes me very nauseous because of the temperature change. I'm breathing in all this salt and this evaporated lime juice. I get sick from it, right? I get nauseous. And he basically, without saying anything, conveyed to me that he doesn't fucking care. He doesn't care. And he put me on chips like 3 more times, and I was one of like top 5 people in that kitchen alone. Of course, I was still very new, so I don't think he knew that because he never put me on any sort of prep work. It was just immediately chips. Because nobody else wanted to do chips either. My main boss, my general manager, we're gonna call her Cindy. Cindy, nice lady. She was a nice pregnant lady. And she, after I told her, made sure to not put me on chips again. Ever. Until, like, I got fired. And so, Helen put me on chips again. The last day that I was there. And I was already kind of nauseous, but I had to go in anyways. By the way, if you're sick, you can't work at Chipotle. You can't go into Chipotle. If you have any sort of symptoms like diarrhea, excessive vomiting, crazy coughs, or anything that conveys that you're sick, you cannot go into Chipotle because you will contaminate the food. You are working with food. You make that food fresh at 7 in the morning, and you put it in the freezer for it to get temperatures, and you serve it fresh. It's very fresh and very healthy, clean eating. Hashtag not sponsored by Chipotle. If you could, please just give me more free carne asada bowls. Oh my god, I love carne asada. Anyways, the guy Helen, right, was kind of a douchebag, right? So, as I've already told. So, when I got put on chips, I really didn't respect the guy and didn't really want to be around him. And then when he put me on chips, it was just that last little straw, right? I'm not getting sick for this guy. I don't like you enough to get sick for you. With Cindy, I can respect her. She's a good leader. She talks nice. She can joke with us. She's funny. And she's, above all, a respectable leader. She will compliment you if you're doing something good. And she'll tell you where you're lacking, and she'll make sure you correct it without being mean. She's a good leader. Helen, I can't respect you. You're a fucking loser. You're a fat fucking chud. And when he told me to get on chips, I immediately pulled out my phone and texted my mom, hey, I need you to turn around and pick me up. And I already planned it, because if it was on chips, when I was sitting in the car, I told myself, if I'm being put on chips, I'm leaving. And I look at him and I say, Helen, I need you to SSR me. SSR is just like the doctors and stuff at Chipotle, where they ask you your symptoms and they give you like a certain amount of time to stay out, right? I told him, you need to SSR me. I'm feeling nauseous and I want to go home. And he said, nausea isn't a symptom. What? If you go to the doctor and they ask your symptoms, nausea is a symptom. So why the utter fuck would it not be a symptom on Chipotle's sickness board? Because if I throw up, I have single-handedly contaminated the entire kitchen, and none of that food can be served. Because that means I was touching everything in there with my sick hands. And I started putting my stuff away. I started putting all the chip equipment away, because I'm not frying chips for you, dude. And I go to the machine and I log out. I punch out, and he looks at me with his like stupid looking fucking eyes, and Helen says, where are you going? And I reply, I'm leaving. And he said, oh, you're gonna get job abandonment if you leave. And I said, all right, cool, thanks. And I turned around, I zipped up my jacket, and I walked out the door. I walked across the street from my Chipotle. There was a Walmart. And in this freezing cold of about like 7 degrees, about 6 or 7 degrees, there was a Walmart. I walk into the Walmart, and I just walk around and I see backpacks, Minecraft backpacks, and I buy a little bee backpack, and I love it. It's hanging on my door right now. And I buy a Dragon Ball t-shirt. So I sit outside and wait for my mom to pick me up. I get home, I undress, I get back in my PJs, and I go to lay down to go back to sleep and take a nap. And I get a text and I see it's from my general manager saying, yeah, dude, you're fucking fired. You suck. Not actually, but you know. And that's how I got fired from Chipotle. Hey, I mean, it kind of sucks being unemployed. I don't like staying home all day. I like going and doing stuff. I like not staying in the house, and I get money while I go and do stuff. So, you know, I'm fine with that. I'm cool with that. But it does give me an excuse to sit on Overwatch all day like a fucking loser. I'm just going to keep it honest, a loser, and wait for update 4 in Attack on Titan Revolution on Roblox. So, I mean, sprinkle in a little bit of Project Zomboid. That's like my favorite game. But anyways, I don't know. I just wanted to try something different. All right. See ya.
Fucking Asians don't tend to sweat as much as normal people.
They don't have as many as normal people.
Yeah, you're not like us
You know what
normal
I
people.
meant.